Welcome back to the Patrick Reagan Show, where we don't run away. We take on the fight. Coming to you on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and locally here on News Talk 98.7 WOKI. Now, talking about Syria in the first segment, I forgot to play a few clips of the president's weekly address from this morning, so I won't get to those. Here is the first clip. This is how he started the address.
Almost 3 weeks ago in Syria, more than 1,000 innocent people, including hundreds of children, were murdered in the worst chemical weapons attack of the 21st century. And the United States has presented a powerful case to the world that the Syrian government was responsible for this horrific attack on its own people.
Interesting how we've already concluded that, one, all of these more than 1,000 people, I think the number's up to 1,400, they were all innocent, had nothing to do with the fighting. And two, that we've made a powerful case that the Syrian government was responsible, which is clearly not true. That's still up in the air. Here's this next clip.
This was not only a direct attack on human dignity, it's a serious threat to our national security.
Oh, so Syrians killing other Syrians with chemical weapons is a threat to our national security. Don't really know how that works, but maybe he can clear it up here in this next clip.
Because they can also fall into the hands of terrorist groups who wish to do us harm.
Ah, there we go. Terrorism. Boy, that good old catch-all word that's like some sort of magic cleaner that washes away all of your rights and freedom. It's all to combat terrorism. Our government used to wave the patriotic flag, and it still does to some extent, but it used to wave the flag to convince you it was only trying to help, that giving up your freedom and liberty was necessary. Now we raise this specter of terrorism when we want something done. We better get over to Syria before people start using chemical weapons here in our country. As I said in that first segment, this is all about cleaning up the evidence of the CIA meddling over there. Here's his next clip.
As the leader of the world's oldest constitutional democracy, I also know that our country will be stronger if we act together, and our actions will be more effective. That's why I asked members of Congress to debate this issue and vote on authorizing the use of force.
So if we act together, our actions will be more effective? So our munitions, our military stockpiles aren't as effective unless we all agree about using them? I think they'll kill just as many people whether we all agree about it or not. No, Mr. President, what you're demonstrating is that you don't have the courage nor the conviction to stand alone. You want someone else to get the blame as well. This is why the American people know this is a sham. This is why they don't support attacking Syria. They know this is just another chapter in the long line of wars that have been occurring over there for centuries. You're not trying to get involved to help anyone other than yourself and others tied into Washington. If it were a strictly humanitarian mission, you would have more support for it than you do, even though it would still be unconstitutional. Having a population not taught about that important document in the government-run education camps, that helps that go quite nicely. Here is his next clip.
But we are the United States of America. We cannot turn a blind eye to images like the ones we've seen out of Syria.
Really? Are you turning a blind eye to all of the killing going on in Africa? All of the genocide that's occurring there? How can you make the case for intervening to save lives in one part of the world and not the other? That's the question.
Failing to respond to this outrageous attack would increase the risk that chemical weapons could be used again, that they would fall into the hands of terrorists who might use them against us. And it would send a horrible signal to other nations that there would be no consequences for their use of these weapons, all of which would pose a serious threat to our national security.
Hey, there's that terrorism threat again. Am I the only one who thinks this argument is getting just a tad bit old? chemical weapons, terrorism, national security. What the president is asking us to believe is there are no other chemical weapons in this entire world, only the ones in Syria. Because if we don't get over there and strike the Syrian government, then terrorists, who, by the way, are fighting the Syrian government, they'll get chemical weapons and bring them over here. That's why it's a national security issue, even though it's all the way around the world there. Not quite to the other side, but getting close. I've talked about how ignorant this argument is before, but let me recap quickly. Mexico, unsecured border, enormous numbers of people crossing every day, documented crossings of large numbers of people not from Mexico, but in fact from Middle Eastern countries. Don't you think by now something major would have happened already if the terrorists were that intent on attacking this country? The government can't even track all the Mexicans coming into this country. What makes you think they can track anyone else from another country crossing that border? You know, the president claims he has this authority to bomb another country that isn't threatening us. First off, as you already know, that's legally, well, if you want to go further, morally wrong. But let's overlook that for a minute. If bad things are going on over there and military strikes would stop that, then why isn't he doing it? It's like you're saying you have the authority to stop someone from being mugged, well, which you actually do have, unlike the president intervening in Syria. But you have the authority and you have the ability through your use of fighting abilities or a firearm or whatever. But you say you aren't going to do it unless you get permission from some of your neighbors. If the situation is so bad that it calls for military action to stop people from being killed, then why isn't the president doing it if it feels so strongly about it? How many people are dying while he's twiddling his thumbs seeking congressional approval that he claims he doesn't in fact need? I'll tell you why. It's because our president's been caught with his pants down. His bluff's been called, and he doesn't have the backbone to follow up on his statements. He was huffing and puffing about red lines and Syria better not cross them during his presidential campaign. He was trying to look tough, trying to look like he wasn't some spineless politician. Here he was trying to run his mouth, and somebody punched him in it. Now he's too scared to punch back. He knows he doesn't have the citizen support. The measly percent who do support him are the Kool-Aid drinkers that would support him no matter what. Doesn't matter if he's going to blow up the moon. Sure, Mr. President, we support you. These people who are selling this ill-conceived plan, they keep talking about U.S. credibility being at stake if we don't strike. Is that the standard that we're going to apply now? That our ego demands we follow through no matter how stupid the action is? Do you think the U.S. has any credibility left with the world after what we've been doing lately? Just look at how deep and broad this whole spying scandal does, what I talked about last segment. All the way around the world, our government is doing what we accuse the Chinese government of doing, monitoring the activities of its citizens. Oh, we never do that. It turns out that we are. We're constantly sticking our noses into other countries' business, trying to pick their leaders, trying to get rid of ones we don't like, despite what the population may want. Heck, the government's constantly intervening in our personal lives, so I don't see why we're surprised when it is wanting to do it outside the country. Doesn't make it any more right, though. We have an overwhelming majority of this country wanting to stay out of Syria, but the president and his cronies and leaders of both major political parties all want to go to Syria. Or, I mean, they want to send our military over there. They aren't going, as I've mentioned before. They're going to send others to fight when it's none of our business. All of those soldiers all get told, and us too. These brave men and women are fighting for our freedom. They're fighting to protect others from tyrannical leaders when that's not our job at all. Just read the Constitution. All right, when we come back, we're going to make a little substitution in our stories and talk one more time about this Syrian authorization use of force vote that is coming up this week in Congress and some important things you really need to know about this when we come back for the last segment of the Patrick Reagan Show.